But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ed Brown. I am one of the two coordinators of the UK Low Carbon Energy for Development Network. We're another of the organisations supporting this event, and we've been working with Eric and the team for about the last 2 years. So I think we just started last time I was here when it snowed, actually, if I remember. So a bit different today. One of the things I think that I really like about this event, and two of the things that we've been thinking about today, is firstly, it brings together people from different sectors. Far too often we sit just as people with interest in energy, or people with interest in water, or people with interest in climate change. But I think it's really nice that we've come together today across those boundaries and those different disciplines. And although we split up into those three areas, we thought it was a really good idea to bring everybody back together again for this session. And one of the things that came up in our energy session was also not only about people working in different sectors, but also people working in different disciplines. And one of the things I really hope that we see a lot of discussion around is how do we inculcate in our new generation of students an ability to work across those boundaries, so across between water and energy and across social sciences and policy. And I don't know whether he's here now, but one of the students interrupted the session really strongly to say, you maybe don't do enough of that at PAUWES. So I think that's a really good point. And that's actually the second thing I wanted to say is there's some students up at the front here, and that's by design, not by accident. And so that's something I really want to encourage all of the students that are here today. This is for you, because you are going to be the generation that really that actually allow us to achieve the kinds of transitions that we're talking about. We're the generation that messed it up. So you're the generation that are actually got to take the bull by the horns and really achieve it. So I want to see at least every second question asked by a student in this session. And if it isn't, I'm going to pick on you. Okay? So I really want to see some good joining into the discussions. So this final session, I'm not going to reintroduce this whole panel because it would take the whole of the length of this session to do so. So suffice it to say that you've seen, I think, everyone that sat on this panel. What we're going to do is I'm going to give each member of the panel 2 minutes to tell me something that they feel that they've learnt from the session that we've had today so far, the take-home thing that either for themselves or they want to put across to the rest of the audience about their experiences today. And then we're going to throw it open to questions, and we'll do this for about an hour, so we have lots of time to try and get into these issues. So if I can turn to my left, and we'll just go straight along the panel. So just a couple of minutes on your reflections of what we've learned today so far.
From the presentations?
From the presentations? Or
afternoon section?
No, the whole day.
All day. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to share my learning. Actually, in the morning we were discussing the high level on the different agendas, but the afternoon session was more practical cases from the students, and I really enjoyed attending the water team and listening to the different presentation, and it was very diverse. It's drinking water, solar panels in the water sector, and then the different issues. But the last one was on the microfinance of the financing the solar panels for pumping the irrigation water, and which was very interesting in terms of how they go to the deep to analyze how we can provide to the farmers microfinance for obtaining this solar panel system and to providing to the irrigation schemes, but at the same time the beauty of the design, how they look at the approach in terms of the return of the financing, and as well as how much this project could be extended to the other regions. So in that sense, looking the perspective, now the student is graduated and now back to his country, he is running his business in the similar area, which is I think the really good result of this Pan-African University, and I feel that this was one of my learning for myself, and I believe this is really looking forward institution for the future of Africa, and I'm really glad.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that builds on one of the points that we started off this bringing together of solar and water, but also about the mission of PAUWES to train the next generation of researchers to really cross this bridge into business and to actually see academic research having a real strong effect, which is a nice link to the director.
Thank you, Andrew. Unfortunately, the director didn't attend on the session of this afternoon due to some other also urgent duties outside of this auditorium. So, talking about the session of this morning and the high level or high political level, and how they are also looking forward the Pan-African University today. I think you will agree, all of you, that Pan-African University should play its role to provide highly qualified human capital for implementing Agenda 2063. And I was very happy yesterday when I met the first participant at the airport, and to see how much our colleagues from different institutions, from different countries, from different continents. We have some participants from America, from Asia, from Europe, and from Africa. So that can reflect how much everyone is engaged to support the Pan-African University at all, and of course, PAUWES. I think the students of our institute need to take this opportunity to meet the experts, to discuss with them, to agree the internship places in future, and also to talk about their master thesis starting from now. And I'm confident that the partners are supporting also the fast development of PAUWES. After 4 years of operating, we have, with all modesty, so we have excellent academic report. So when I'm attending any meeting and I'm sharing with others how many events we organized during the 4 years, I think we should be proud today, all of us, about the achievement. Of course, PAUWES is a small, young institution, but growing fast, and we need the support and we need the cooperation with all of you. So my team are also here with our students for discussing and for engaging some cooperation, maybe directions together. And I think I exceeded the time for someone who didn't attend all the day.
That's very impressive.
Okay. But I was also fascinated by the second keynote this morning, and this big network in Africa. So I saw one point on the Algerian map, and I'm asking myself which university, which institution is a member of this big network. So we are engaged also to be part of this big network of AFRILABS that we saw this morning. And the idea was simple, but very, very enthusiastic, and I think we can do a lot also with AFRILABS. So thank you, and sorry.
Thank you. That's fine. We'll move along the table, please.
Thank you very much, and I think that the director and I have one common idea, which was AFRILAB. I think that AFRILAB is something very, very important and interesting, and it's for the future. And the future relies on AFRILAB, and I think that is quite interesting. Another thing to take home is UNESCO and NEPAD. What they're doing actually with Mr. Murray on filling up the gap of human resources capacity in Africa. It's a very, very wide problem, and definitely we have to look at it very seriously. As well as this afternoon, I participated in the session talking about PAUWES activity. I knew a bit more about PAUWES, and I think that is definitely something that is to be sustainable. But most of all, what I will take home is, I took it from outside, not from the room. I've talked a lot with the students. Many students came to me and talked to me and told me a lot about what they're doing. I find them very excited and very intelligent in what they're doing here. We rely on them, we count on them. They have to go back after the work and work for the utilities, work for not for the banks, for the utilities. So this morning, my colleague was bringing people on their side, but I have to bring people on the utilities. But definitely, I think that PAUWES has hopefully a sustainable years in front, and we count on you guys to definitely do the right thing here and bring your knowledge back home and try to move the water and energy sector.
Thank you so much. And moving along the table.
Thank you. I was also very impressed with what has happened, and I come from a perspective that I used to be in the energy and environment sector many years ago, and I've been out of touch for many years. So I think I'd bring a useful perspective. I realized that problems that have persisted over a long time continue to persist. We know them, thank God, and we have reflected them, for instance, in Agenda 2063. But I'm also happy to hear that many good things are being done to improve availability and quality, enhance access to these key resources, address gender issues, distributional justice, entrepreneurship, wealth creation, etc. And well done on that. And I noted that there's much potential for more strategic partnerships in the research policy and practice nexus for PAUWES and also for other agencies here. Many things have changed, technologies have much improved, e.g. in research tools and the extent of knowledge. More people know about these things that used to be, they just used to be small groups of people who knew, and mostly activists. But now the things we used to rally around in the 80s have now become mainstream, which is very good for progress. The challenge, and I've been discussing this in the corridors, is that I'm not sure if we have sufficient system-wide learning across generations and within generations, because some things which we researched, concluded, and developed technologies within and disseminated them within integrated systems are still being done. What is the problem? Where is the discontinuity? So that it's like every generation has to begin afresh to work on these things. Then the other thing that interested me was a thought that people are paying too little for water, and yet water is a right, and most of our people in Africa have limited access to quality water and already pay too much. So what is the way out? Water is life, and you can never pay too much for it, and yet everybody must have access. So what ought we to do? Okay, there are many more, but I'll stop there. These are some of the
An awful lot of food for thought there. So I hope people are thinking of lots of interesting questions to come back on these comments on. So moving along the table.
Right, thank you very much. Two observations on material and one external. What I found very interesting was the process of developing a young university and how to harvest the benefits of research. When the question was asked, are we getting benefits from our research? Is it being applied? And one of the observations was that we need a good 3 to 5 cycles of masters to go through to accumulate a good reference base to work from, and that will help to show us the way. We'll have something to work from. And I found that very interesting because it indicates a long-term planning perspective from an academic point of view. Second, one of the case studies where I asked a question which was difficult to answer because I probably didn't ask it correctly, was a case study in Ethiopia where lowland work was being impacted by highland development, and it was shown that reworking the river basin in the highlands was causing reduction in flow in the lowlands. What the research is being done on the lowlands to highlight this problem. That's very interesting and it's very important. But what the question that's not being asked is why is this happening in the highlands and nobody knows about the lowlands? And essentially, it brings us back to integrated water resource management and policy, which is why at the very beginning when we started to design the curricula for PAUWES, we looked at water, we looked at the technical side, and we looked at the integrated water resources management. And finally, from an external perspective, and I hesitate to say this because I show my age a bit, but there has been a lot of changes on the continent since the late 80s when I first came here to study and research and lecture and then carry on many other things. And the three main changes that I think that I see are, one is the African Union, two is the Centers of Excellence, and then three is the Pan-African University Initiative. And all of that, you have walked away from being beneficiaries and you're now partners in a lot of major international institutions. Things are not perfect, but now the agenda is yours. So I find it very, very impressive, very, very positive to be working with. Thanks.
Okay. I had lots of questions at the beginning when I made my presentation. Some of the answers are coming. One of my questions was how do we foster this collaboration to make sure that PAUWES has that leeway to be able to support institutions out there and then also receive support from other institutions. And coming from the African Development Bank, I was thinking of the formal MOU between PAUWES and the African Development Bank. And then, but this takes about a whole year. You can take a whole year to sign a 2-page MOU with the African Development Bank. In the discussions during the energy climate change session, it came out that there's great scope for cooperation to start. There are low-hanging fruits, and that is exchanges between scientists who are here. When you know a scientist, you can easily make exchanges. There can be student exchanges, even between universities. There can be joint research, between research institutions and the university. And then the other form which my colleague, Sylvain mentioned, is practitioners dictating the research, topics, and then PAUWES taking them on and then solving those problems. The other point that I would like to mention, although there are several, is that we mentioned this in our skills development, how we're going to meet the skills gap and so on. And then I just heard that there should be the ability to work across sectors. There's a term called Nexus. And then, it just hit me. I had a discussion earlier on with Faten here. And it's about being able to understand the sector and being able to solve problems. And that it's not just all right to be an engineer in policy or in energy or that kind of thing. It's being able to solve problems. So one of the things that we need to be able to inculcate in students is critical thinking, problem solving, skills. These are very, very extremely important, and not just strictly the sector in which you are working.
Thank you very much. We're gradually getting along the line. On to our next colleague.
Thank you so much. My name is Emma Domaka. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a student of Pan-African University. So for the afternoon session, I was in the climate change session. We talked about different causes of climate change. We talked about how Africa is really affected by climate change. We talked about land degradation. We talked about a lot of disasters that have befallen Africa because of climate change. Someone from Sierra Leone made mention of a slide mob that killed about 1,000 citizens of Sierra Leone. What really triggered me in this session, or what was really of my interest in this session, was that one of our students asked a question. She was like, apart from all these researches we are doing, apart from coming here to talk and do all these things, what are we doing? How are we taking this message back to the community? How are we telling those people, those old women in the villages, that look, this is what is happening to our community and this is how we are going to solve it? That is not enough for us to be here and talk about it and so many other things, that we have to make efforts to take these things back to these communities that are really affected. And people came up with a lot of solutions. People talked about sensitization through media, through going to the communities, doing campaigns. Like when we had this epidemic of HIV, we saw how the world took over the issue. We went, sensitized everybody and did a lot of things to bring awareness. So someone said we should take this back to the grassroots. And we also had the question that how do we incorporate all this research work with the PAUWES students? All the things we are talking about, how is it going to help the PAUWES students? So different lecturers, different people preferred solutions. Some people talked about internship, people talked about collaboration. Like there was a guy in our session, he did something on solar. So people talked about him partnering with PAUWES students, like to make the work better. The PAUWES students can bring ideas on things that they know, like engineering stuff, because we have good engineers, so they can also bring solutions. On policy issues, we have people from different backgrounds, economics, law, political sciences, so they can also help with these issues. Thank you.
Okay, so to first answer your question, sir, on the Innovation Hub in Algeria, it's in Algiers, C-Labs, so the connection later. Well, today so far has been really eye-opening. I've been really inspired. My first point, I would say, is the students' projects that I've seen. I've been really fascinated and impressed by the projects being presented. I know two really stood out, which is one, the recycled container homes with solar energy for cooking and powering the home, and then water and energy recycling system. That was quite impressive. And another project on community, the community on climate change, water and energy, and all the activities being carried out by these, by the champions of the community on capacity building, knowledge and awareness on climate change, water and energy efficiency and management. And I would say that it really is inspiring to see students take things to the next level. So you have your research being carried out, you have your studies being carried out, and then the next question is, how do you turn this into actual projects that I can take back home? On this front, understanding that a lot of the PAUWES students, well, all the PAUWES students do come from different regions in Africa, I would really be interested in linking with the students' body here to link them with innovation hubs back in their home countries that are part of the AFRILABS network, and that way when they go back home and they need to take things to the next level in terms of developing the project into an actual product or commercializing an idea to turn it into a sustainable business, they can get that mentorship and support from the innovation hubs. On that front, I would really like an outcome of this event. For example, the collaborations that come out of it, to see how we can focus on providing more support to students, researchers, to both collaborate with entrepreneurs and innovators out there in the field. We found out that the best startups that have the highest rates of success are those that have a range of diverse skills. So skills, a startup with a mix of a technical background, developers from the science background, the experts in the field, the finance experts, so a diverse team coming together to develop great businesses that actually solve our unique problems. So that's something I'll really be interested in seeing out of this and supporting in whatever way we can. Another is that really stuck are the presentations on supporting water sciences, management, funding, capacity development of researchers, students, and practitioners in the water sector. Two that really stood out for me were the African Water Association and the UNESCO Division of Water Sciences and NEPAD, the work being done. As highlighted here, there really isn't enough awareness in the African ecosystem, especially in the entrepreneurial space, in the innovation space, on the challenges being faced in the water sector. We take it for granted, really. But there are a lot of challenges, but then, as we say in the innovation technology space, with challenges come opportunities. So we're always excited about challenges because that means there are more problems to solve and think of great solutions for them. So I would really like to see more collaborations come out of these. I would like to work with these organizations to see how we can build awareness in this sector, encourage more innovators to go into water sciences and, of course, climate change and energy. And yes, those are my key takeaways.
Thank you very much. And last but not least.
Thank you. So, I'm going to be closing. Yeah, I think there were too many highlights for 2 minutes. All of them were another good reason for me to be enthusiastic about Pan-African University. Let me just mention two, both from the afternoon session on energy. The first was at the very end of the session, when the session chair had already closed the session. One of the students protested and said he wanted to say something very important. What he said was that, obviously being from the policy part, he said that the engineers should better talk to them. They should spend put more emphasis in talking to them, not just making their own thing and then think about, well, policy does something. I found this very good. Algeria is a good example because it has abundant gas and oil resources, it has abundant solar resources, so that it has the technology for both. So the transition between the two should be no problem, but it is, because transitions always generate losers and winners, and policy needs to take care of it. The second highlight was, if I still have half a minute time, was in a contribution on the green kiosk on Ecobora. It was with Justin Abuga, who was asked after her talk about how she groups these many different sciences she needs to realize her project. And she said, if I formulate it in my own words, formulate a goal, group the people around you whom you need. It is difficult because at the beginning you don't understand each other, so it needs time, and the funding structures are not really made for having this time. So I think it was a very important remark. But she also came up with a citation, I think by someone else.
Can I just say, it was Mary, not Justin.
It was Mary. Okay. Forgive me if I mix up if I mix up names, but it's more about the content. Yes, thank you. A solitary dream can change millions of lives. I found this a good thing to be written into a tutorial about interdisciplinary science.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our panel.
So, an awful lot of food for thought. We've already heard a lot of different ideas that have really sparked interest. So I will now, I think, throw it open to questions or comments from the floor. Yes. Do we have the mic? Do we have the microphone running there? There was, I think, the first person was over there.
Thank you very much. My name is Yunus, former student of PAUWES. Mine is going to be a comment. I must say everything which has been said here will go to the drains if, as a PAUWES student, maybe you are thinking about going out of Africa and being elsewhere. So along your way as a student, you will find many opportunities, you will meet people, you travel to places, but traveling to these places, let it be for you to go and see how the good things are happening there. The good roads in Europe, the good roads in US, the good health system, 100% access to energy and water, reliable electricity, it never goes off. Maybe you should see these things so that you come back to Africa and implement them here, not to run away, to enjoy them. For me, I think that would be selfishness. Thank you.
I think Mary was...
This morning we had a talk on that stated that biomass energy or tree-based energy is one of the main sources of energy in sub-Saharan Africa. And my question is, from the PAUWES programs, where does, is tree-based energy taking the space that it needs to take, that we have this university in Africa where tree-based energy is one of the key sources of cooking and heating energy? Because what has been happening is that in many global agendas, this type of energy is not given the space that it needs in terms of research, in terms of budget. And therefore, if it's not addressed, its environmental and health implications still continues, and technology development lags behind. Because is it part of the renewables? Because it's truly a renewable energy. You plant a tree within your lifetime, it produces products.
That's an excellent question. Who would like to take a... Yeah.
Thank you for this question. PAUWES is offering training in energy, so it's a little bit difficult to go to certain details in different forms of renewable energies. We are talking about bioenergy. We have an elective course. We are offering the necessary background for this elective course, but it's not a real track at PAUWES bioenergy. Okay, so we are also offering, we are starting without long-term faculty. We are very different from the standard of African universities today. Okay, so we are based our training on a short-term academic stuff, and some of them are there. So it's a little bit difficult to talk about how to give any profile immediately. So we are following the main vision of the Agenda 2063. We are working with different NGOs, different associations, universities, and other institutions to learn more on the priorities in energy region by region. I was impressed with the first cohort when we introduced the list of our elective courses and how the students selected those elective courses based on the need of their regions. Bioenergy was not requested by the student from the north, the solar energy not requested by the east, and okay, so today I think the real profile, or the more detailed profile, will be more defined when we will also have the long-term faculty. So we are basing on, there is another also opportunity as PAUWES, the policy track. You can identify how many institutions in higher education in this continent are in this field. So with the policy track, we are offering also a continental class and very competitive program in higher education.
Let's keep on this topic actually, because I think there's a really interesting set of issues here. One is absolutely understand the issues in relation to PAUWES, but we have a lot of people from a lot of institutions here, and I'd be interested to hear whether there are institutions that are putting as much focus on not just bioenergy in terms of new approaches, but actually the whole energy system, which charcoal and charcoal production is a massively important part of it. So I'd just be interested to hear other people's views on this topic, because actually of all of the SE for all targets, it's the one around cooking that is the furthest away from being realised by 2030. And if we're taking energy seriously, we need to take that issue seriously too. Any other thoughts on that topic? Please.
The system. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Martin Giambai from Zambia. I did my master thesis on charcoal. Okay. So, people used to call me a charcoal expert. Okay, I'm still currently working in those lines. We're trying to organize an endeavor on charcoal specifically. We hope it can go through, because charcoal, I did a life cycle assessment. I focused much on the economic side on the charcoal. I looked at the whole value chain from production to retail. I did a breakdown on the cost. How much money is entering at the production and how much money is coming out until we reach the retail stage there. We found a lot and lots of inefficiencies. And when we compared the price of charcoal when it's traded on cross borders, we found like the price of charcoal from production and when it goes to other borders, it's about 100 times, you see. So we found like it's the energy that hasn't been given any attention, okay? It's black, we can say it's black gold. Because see, the price of charcoal in Saudi Arabia, the charcoal that is coming maybe from Malawi, and how does that charcoal find itself in Saudi Arabia without being detected by the government? A truck carrying a container maybe with a few things, it can carry even 2 tons of charcoal without being detected. While the woodlands are being degraded and revenue is being lost. So I took interest in that field, in the charcoal field, and it's something that I've been working. And I'm very, very glad today that I met a doctor there. She's from Agroforest Center and she presented something on charcoal. And right now it's something that we hope we can work together. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. I think there was one more, let's take one more on this question, then we'll move on.
Yes, more a question for the agenda. So do you think if income levels will increase in Africa, we can create more jobs, that maybe the reliance on charcoal can be reduced? So that's a question. Just in general, also for the research agenda, do we focus on issues today, or maybe issues in 10 years from now?
That's a really, really good point. There's a lot of research going on this. There was a question over there.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. For me, I would like to respond on the issue of wood as a cooking fuel. I'm Hilary from Kenya. I'm doing energy policy. One of the things, I don't like wood as a cooking fuel. I don't like charcoal as a cooking fuel. The reason is, I don't like seeing the color of kitchen in our rural homes being black. Not because it has been painted black, but because of smoke. The color of cooking pots in our home is black. Not because we buy a black cooking pot. It's because of wood. What of the color of our sisters? What of the color of our mothers? The color of their chest, it's black. So I don't like charcoal, I don't like wood as a cooking fuel. Not until it has a complete combustion that it can give a blue flame. That's when I would like wood as a cooking fuel. But until then, I don't like wood.
So, is this still on charcoal? Oh, we seem to have got onto the track. Can we move on to another topic?
Second.
Oh, come on. One more down here.
Hi everyone, I'm Messi, Dr. Manyuchi from Zimbabwe, and I've done a lot of work with respect to charcoal and how we can make it cleaner. I think the challenge in most sub-Saharan countries is they're taking charcoal which has been processed in a way which is not good for the environment and for the people. Right now there are various technologies that are being researched on. I've been to Germany, the German Biomass Research Institute. They're doing a lot of clean technologies to produce clean charcoal for people and for the environment. So I think as Africa and thinking about the next research agenda, we need to invest more in clean charcoal technologies because it's the future and we can't really say we can do away with the charcoal because it's a need given that most people are staying off the grid.
Right, we're definitely going to stop the charcoal conversation now. I think that's obviously, this is an agenda that is not being discussed as frequently as people think that it should be. Okay.
So, just to share with you a global picture on the agenda, on the research agenda, and the academic training offered by PAUWES today. So we are not excluding any energy in the context. We are very sensitive to this question, and we are including, and we are giving also the freedom to our students for working on their research proposal and what they are looking for their cities, for their countries, for their regions, and of course at the end for Africa. Okay, so, and we will continue at PAUWES. So, to defend also this idea, I think the priorities for energy and water are not the same for all African countries today and for all regions. From country to another, you have some countries, today, for them, they are just trying to secure the access to electricity or water. When the others, they are talking about certification and the quality and some others. Okay, so we cannot summarize, I think, in few minutes the vision for all the continent today. PAUWES will contribute to the development of energy and the most important, the energy access and water access for all peoples in Africa. Thank you.
Very well said.
So I'm moving from the charcoal, so it's another subject, so because you opened really another discussion. But just to add something about the concept of the PAUWES. So the PAUWES is an institute who are serving the continent in the topic of the water, energy and the climate change. But as a second step for the PAUWES, for this project, for the whole project, we're supposed to have also other center of excellence. And the center of excellence that are connected to the PAUWES, what is really this field of the center of excellence is to work on specific subject that could not be done with the PAUWES. It will be under the coordination of the PAUWES, but it will treat one specific subject that probably could be interesting in this region, in one region. So that's why. So PAUWES, we are not really looking forward to solve all the problems of the continent. It's not possible. But at first step, I think that the power, they will give the basic lines for all, for example, the energy. When we are talking about the energy it's too big. The renewable energy, energy efficiency, all kind of energy, geothermal energy, solar energy, and each one is coming from one background, from one country. He's thinking about, because the priority, for example, is solar energy, not charcoal or geothermal energy, and we will not find it. But the powers, I think that they open one opportunity is to have these courses, separate courses, so they can really choose this course, or they can divide their field in their thesis, in their topics. So they can choose one topics, and they can really solve one problem which concerns either the country or the regions. So I think they are open, they are giving the basic, I think the basic of the science, and after that it's up to the students to open his mind to go further in his research to solve one problem either at local, national, or at the regional level. So it's very important we are talking about charcoal that could be probably interested some region, some part, but another part probably is not really interesting for them. So I think at the next step, hopefully, for the PAU, we'll have this center of excellence. And the center of excellence, it will solve really this issue, and we can go further with this project. Thank you.
Absolutely. Immediately behind you. Oh, you want to say?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all of you. My question is like a contribution. I want to talk more about when the professor was talking about the lack of human resources in water, and the fact that most young people are trained in one field, and after they migrate because they think the one is no longer favorable, and then some of us, after we do all this research, and at the end of the day, it's just research. So I'm glad that the AFRILABS is here. So my hope is that since all of us from PAUWES are solving a problem in our country, that we end up implementing that solution, no matter how small it is. I think that will help us to have this gratification of this fulfillment of conceiving an idea, and even if it's not putting it as a marketing, or even if it's not like scaling it up, but like, assuming my project was designing of a borehole, and I end up getting funds from maybe UNESCO and then building a borehole in my community, I will always remember that, and it will help me to continue my field in water. So I gave an example of a professor, Francis Kele. He's an architect. He's from Burkina Faso. He's a very renowned architect. He studied at TU Berlin, and when he finished his bachelor's, he did a small project in Burkina Faso, and he built a primary school. He designed it. I don't know how he got the fund, but till today, he has been known for modeling solutions based on resources available in that community and building sustainable architecture. So what I'm hoping that we as PAUWES students, if we can get that enablement, so that even if it's not turning into a business, but finding funding from people like UNESCO or African Union to make sure that not just doing thesis, but that we implement it in the smallest amount, so that with that gratification, we'll no longer, you'll not see someone that did water ending up in banking, or someone that it will reduce the percentage, because if I remember that I designed a solar model, and I was able to put a small solar unit in my village, I would want to continue in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think there was the guy in the white top behind you. Actually, just before you continue that, I think one thing that struck me the first time I came to PAUWES 2 years ago was precisely that determination from the students here, that they're not here simply to do a qualification and to get a better job for themselves. But I was struck by how committed you are to your communities and how committed you are to seeing real change. And I think that's something that's a real credit to yourselves and your professors. But please.
Well, good evening. My name is Dr. Ruben. We have talked about so many issues here, and most of the things you have talked about are as a result of our own behavior, our own activities. Everything that is happening in the world came about because of our behavior. Now, I can see we are encouraging the use of charcoal. And where do you get charcoal from? The wood, the trees. When we cut down trees, what happens to the environment? Climate change, right? And climate change also brings about what? So shortage in water. So my question is, what can we do to change our behaviors, to change our attitude towards certain issues? It's not just about talking and writing, conducting researches, but it's trying to conduct researches that are aimed at changing our behaviors as well. Crisis brings about what? A lot of issues. It affects the ecosystem, which affects water, as well as affect what? The climate change, climate issues, and environment. And if we can build peace, if there is peace, there will be water, at least the environment will be in a good state, and other issues will follow. So, somebody talked about, the student here was talking about creating awareness in the villages, about those women, those elderly people in the villages. Now, what kind of awareness do we have to create? Because even awareness creation, we have to categorize it, we have to scale it. The media alone will not be okay. Because most of the things happening in the villages has been happening from time immemorial. Since the day they were born, they are used to it. Coming to campaign on radio, on TV, or distribute some pamphlet alone will not work. So what must be done? What's the way forward? Thank you.
That's a big challenge. Anybody like to take that challenge on? Oh, I'm seeing some, yes, there's some people looking to take up the challenge over here. I think there's a lady with her hand up, and then did we go to the lady first? Yeah.
Gender balance, welcome.
Thank you very much. In attempting to answer the question of what do we do, is about creating strong resilience. How would you and I, how would the communities build resilience? Adaptation measures. It's true, it's not all about just doing researches. How do we put the researches into practice? I gave a small scenario in my country, Sierra Leone. Currently, 2 years ago, we experienced a 3rd degree of water crisis. The whole city went off for water. We buy water, we stand in line, children need to go to school for water. The whole city was off of water, and they start rationing water, chaos in water. So it was a risk, a threat to the country. So adaptation measures for communities has started. UNDP, other donors, ADB, has started providing funds for resilience building. And fortunately, I am part of one of the resilience building committees that work with communities to do capacity building and create community level campaign committees. At community level, communities are trained on how to and even how to assess the climate change impact and how to live with it. So the question of what do we do is for scientists, and I'm looking forward to PAUWES, students and professionals and professors to come up with practical examples, practical things that will be transferred to the communities on how to live with the impact of climate change, especially in terms of water, agriculture, and other sectors. So my contribution here is for us to go down at community level, bring projects at community level that will help individuals to live with the impact of climate change. For water, you can stop cutting the trees, we can dig more water wells, we can provide rain harvesting schemes, we can protect our spring boxes. In Africa, we have lots of water sources. But the problem is how do we sustain it, or how do we protect it from climate change? Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you. We have a lot of challenges in Africa related to sustainable development, related to energy, related to water. And I think this Res2Prac forum is a first step to try to solve this problem. And how to solve this problem? I think that one keyword is innovation. We have to innovate. We have to find African solution to African problem.
Thank you.
How to innovate? AFRILABS is a good example. We have to give the chance to our students, to capacitate our students, to translate their ideas into real projects. At PAUWES, we have set up this year a career service to enhance the employability of our students. But we don't want just job seekers, we also want to have job creators, entrepreneurs. So we are planning to set up a PAUWES Entrepreneurship Hub with ideally a Fab Lab, just to give the opportunity to our students to translate their idea into a real project. Dealing with charcoal, we can see that there is some solution. If you look to, for example, the Blue Economy website set up by Paul Glanter, which is called Steve Jobs of the Sustainable Development, the case study number 35 gives some kind of solution based on bamboo. So I encourage our students to go to the Blue Economy website and to look to the case study number 45. It will give them a clear insight about how to try to solve this problem. So I think that my last word is that innovation is the key. Thank you.
There was a colleague over here.
I will add something. I think one of the things we have to do also is, like my colleague on the podium said, when someone conducts a survey, you don't just publish it and me and some of my colleagues, we are planning to host an event, open access, and so that when we conduct a study and you found out the reason why something is happening in a community, you don't just publish it on SVR and allow people. I think the study is only complete when that community are able to learn from what you found out. And so I would suggest that what we do here as a student, maybe as my research is not like something I have to build a dam or a project. When I finish doing my survey or finish doing my analysis, I have to go on an open campaign and let the community I studied know what I found, let them know the impact, let them know what they can do to get better, put on strategies, and let them be aware. Not just when we finish the studies, we just publish it. I'm also saying this in connection with what she said, our participant from Sierra Leone. Thank you.
There.
This guy, this one over here.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe all the three earlier speakers, they wrapped up all that I wanted to say. One of the missing elements in our research has to do with community engagement. And in responsible research and innovation, we are encouraged to include community engagement and gender. So what I want to say is, in all the research we are going to do as PAUWES students, and even for everybody, we shouldn't neglect the aspect of communities. We're talking about charcoal. Where I come from, the best of delicacies are prepared from charcoal. So how do you tell me that I should switch to gas? You just don't stay in the capital, do a research, armchair research, and say that charcoal is bad, go to gas. You need to go to the community, engage them. Why do you still use charcoal? Upon all the millions of dollars donors are funding for projects, Africans are still into charcoal. Why? It's not because we don't want to change, it's because it's part and parcel of our culture. How do you not deviate that negative culture in quotes? Is by engaging the people, seeking their views, being with them, encouraging them, creating their awareness. And when we do these simple things, we can always get a research that reflects the needs and aspirations of the communities. Other than that, we can always write, one of the speakers talked about a $5 million research project. At the end of the day, the research asks more questions than solutions. And that is the case. We seek for funds, we undertake research, and the papers we come out ask more questions than finding solutions. And the key element, I always say, has to do with community engagement. Thank you.
I'm seeing about 10 hands up, and I'm supposed to finish this in 3 minutes. So, if anyone can ask questions that will get a 1-sentence answer and can ask the question in 1 sentence, keep your hand up. Okay, 1, 2. Yeah, is that it?
Yeah.
Yep, just those 2. So we'll do those 2 questions and then we will call this to a halt. So over here first and then to our colleague over here. So, but you've got to do it now. 1 sentence.
Okay, thank you. My name is Omar Alfaro. I'm a student in water policy.
That's one sentence.
Thank you. So give me a paragraph. Okay. My main problem is about bureaucracy. So let me come to it. We don't lack vision. We don't like smartness. We all smart, and we have ideas, but we have died ideas because we need support. And by support, I want to say this: like in our different countries, we have so much institutions, international institutions, who are hijacking the civil societies, because civil societies are dying before starting, and they need the lack of support from those institutions because they are not preparing the next generation. Because they are the one who are doing the project, and experts from those institutions have been paid thousands of dollars. Why those thousands of dollars can help villages, can help small communities build resilience. So we cannot understand why those institutions still talking about resilience, climate change and stuff, while they are only expect and sacrifice just an amount of their money to save a community, because one person is is keeping the money of an entire community. So this we cannot understand. And also some civil societies have been looking for funds from those institutions, but there is too much bureaucracy. So how can you big institution, can you avoid this bureaucracy? And help also this small institution, these small NGOs have funds, and while also can also bypass the government, because we know that they have corrupt countries. And
that was a lot more than 1 paragraph. Yes, but a point well made, and even though you did, talking about bureaucracy and going beyond what you're allowed to do. But a very good point, I'm sure we'll come back to. So that's the second challenge. Can you do it in 1 sentence?
I think it would be a little bit shorter.
That was a no then, was it?
Okay, thank you. Just to make a point about the politics, the technology solution exists. But how can you make them to go on or apply if, for example, if you took Algeria, the price of the oil or the gas is much, much lower, the price of electricity is lower. How can PV cells, or for example, solar cooking, to give the example of cooking using solar energy, how can you go to electrical vehicles if all the prices are dampened? Also, on the other side, if you look in Germany or in Spain, when you have taxes on people installing PV on the roof or selling, we are going in the wrong way. So how can UAE or European Union can influence the countries to lessen these taxes or to cancel them? Thank you.
Thank you. So, I think we will draw things to a close here. I think we've had a really interesting first day. I think there's a lot of items left on the agenda to develop over the course of these 3 days. I think we've had a very good start. I think that there's a tremendous amount of energy and enthusiasm in the room, so let's hope that that continues. But can I just ask for a round of applause for all of us for the